What's going on? Can you hear me? Here, give me one
Oh,
second.
sorry, I'm on mute.
There
Yes,
you
I
go.
can hear you. Sorry, my mic
All
was
right,
muted.
perfect.
Can you turn your mic volume up just a little bit?
Let's see
If
if
not,
it
it's good.
lets me.
No worries.
Let's see if it lets me adjust it.
No worries. You're good. I can hear you nice and clear.
All right, cool. Yeah, it just went all the way up, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
All right. Cool, cool. All right, man. Well, I think we're live. Yeah, we are. Cool. What's up, guys? Scratch Golf Show Tuesday Live Edition Open Championship Week. We are joined with Ross Baran from Golf on Tap. Ross, you want to do a quick intro to the few people who are watching us, and I'm assuming we're going to get more in as we funnel in, but we're just getting live. But yeah, go ahead. Tell the Scratch Golf Show where we can find you, Ross.
So our show is Golf on Tap, which you can find us at uh, On Tap Golf because someone else stole the
Dude.
handle from us a while back.
Yeah,
And trust me, it's a nightmare every time.
dude.
But we are a Sports Illustrated affiliate based for On Tap Sportsnet, based out of Chicago. Um, it's myself and my co-host Jack Bushman, pretty much doing daily, weekly golf coverage
Oh yeah,
on
man.
PGA hot takes. You got me and Jack writing our articles, giving our takes as well. And as well as, everyone likes to dabble with a little bit of money. So we throw out our picks too. And when Scotty doesn't steal our money, we tend to do well for the most part. But then again, you have a year like this for Scotty Scheffler where it just feels like he's robbing you almost every other week, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, guys. Like I said, follow and speaking of, dude, I did the same. Speaking of nightmares, I saw you I think you saw it, but I tagged Golf on Tap on Twitter. Then I had to go re-edit it when I realized it wasn't the right one. So I feel
Yeah,
that.
those
I
guys
feel
steal
that.
everything from us.
That sucks, man. Well, guys, I meant to put your stuff in the description, man. I'm sorry. I ran home, rushed through, had to jump on, but follow Ross and Jack. They do great stuff. We're going to be doing some more like cross collaboration between our two shows and channels. So looking forward to it. Anyway, man, let's jump right into it. Open Championship Week. My one of my favorite weeks of the year, personally. I don't know. I always go back and forth between like what my favorite major is. I feel like every major is my new favorite major, right? But I love it because I love being a morning, getting up 4 a.m., sipping some coffee, watching some golf. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts on the week? Do you have any early previews? What do you think? What are your thoughts about just the Open in general?
So, so first of all, my favorite major that just does not go, never gets knocked down is the U.S. Open. The U.S.
Okay.
Open is peak number one for me. Um, this I think I'd probably end up putting at number three because everyone goes to Augusta because we wait 9 months for it when after
Right.
this week is over.
Right.
But this one definitely goes to three. But this always feels like the one that it doesn't matter how you read like a preview, field preview, look at who's been playing well. I feel like this is that week every single year. You throw it all out.
Yeah.
This always feels like an event that you never really know who's going to come take this.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have Brian Harmon going almost wire to wire dominating last year?
I
If you did, congratulations.
Believe it or not, so I'm in a big group. We do a pool, and I won the pool last year because I did have Brian Harmon in my pool. Did I bet him outright? No, but I liked him in the pool because it's like I don't do DFS. I just do these type of things. But you get a certain dollar amount, and you can buy each player for a dollar amount. I had Brian Harmon because he had played well the week before in the Scottish, and he happened to win. I mean, it was a lucky pick. Did I think he was going to win? No, but I liked him last year, but no, I think he was going to walk away and win by 6 shots and lap the field, win wire to wire. Absolutely not. But it's why it makes the Open so great, right? That's why I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw like in our picks last week when we were previewing Scottish. There's one guy that always pops up every couple years, and it's Matteo Montecero.
Oh yeah,
just always fires off a
Yeah.
low round in one of these events.
yeah.
And last week he was 400 to 1.
I know.
And came in with a top 10.
And a
I
win.
already checked. Yeah. And I already checked this week. You can get Matteo Montecero again at 300. They just are not respecting what that man can do. So
Yeah.
I already looked for a flyer. Like,
Yeah.
300 after last week. Of course, I'm going to circle back on something
and
like that.
He didn't even play that bad on Sunday. I think he finished at 14 under. For those who don't know who Matteo Montecero is, early on in his career, I don't know how long ago. It's been years. I know Ryan French, Monday Q, has done a good job covering but he was kind of the next big thing. Won at 18 years old. I'm pretty sure as a pro. Really, really good name. On the DP World Tour, when the DP World Tour was a very strong tour, considered one of the bigger names, and then fell. I think he got all the way to the top 30 or top. I know he got in the top 50, and then he fell outside the top 1500. Then won earlier this year. Then, like you said, 400 to 1 last week. Played well last week. Didn't really I think he shot 63 on Friday last week, and I don't think he melted down on the weekend. I think he played well on the weekend, just didn't get it done. But I love him at 300 to 1 this week. It really is just going to depend on the draw. But I love that name. I love that you're taking a flyer there early. I have a flyer. It's not really a flyer, but I just think you're getting way too good of a price on him to pass up. But we can discuss my picks kind of later in the show.
Yeah, no, that was just like someone to point out
Yeah.
this type of links golf in these tournaments.
Yeah.
Where you get people from all over. It doesn't matter if you go to the top of the board. I mean, if you even look, we're listing people like Scotty and Bryson again at the top. Their best finishes ever in these events are like T8.
Yeah, for sure. I think Scotty's just getting too much praise on the link style because it's Scotty, personally. I don't think Bryson. I think it's funny because I was driving back today in the car, and I was thinking, and I had watched the Phil Mickelson Grant Horvat video, which if you haven't watched, it's a great watch. Phil should be wearing. I don't want to spoil it, but I almost compare Bryson to our generation's Phil Mickelson. I think. He thinks uniquely. He's very odd, like Phil. He's misunderstood, but he's become a heel, now a hero. But I think he has to learn how to play in this championship. It took Phil a long time to win the British Open. It took Phil a long time to figure out links golf. I think Bryson is kind of in that camp where I think he can win the British, and I think maybe he will one day in his career. But I think for him, he's got to learn how to play links golf, and I don't think he has that type of in his game yet, but I think he will. I think he will at some point. And it's funny, I heard Phil kind of talk about it, how he enjoys listening to Bryson talk. But I'm fading Bryson this week. I also said fade Bryson at Pinehurst, and that turned out really well. And honestly, with the run I've been on gambling lately, just giving up picks for golf, you should absolutely fade anything I say. So maybe do hammer Bryson this week. But I really do think he's like Phil Mickelson. I think he's our generation's Phil. I think when it's all said and done, he'll be looked on, even because him and Phil are now boys on YouTube. They're on Live together. I think they're just very comparable in their personalities.
I definitely have come around on Bryson.
Yeah.
A while ago, I was very outspoken. I did not like Bryson.
Fair enough. Me either.
When he was super beefed up, I want to hit the ball 500 yards, everything. Yeah. It just felt like it went so much to his head.
Yeah.
And then he made this transition over to Live. It's like he's completely redefined himself, and he's a very likable person now overall.
Yeah.
Where I really do miss having the access to him every single week. Obviously, I mainly follow and cover PGA.
Yeah.
But he's one of those that I really want all these agreements and deals to get worked out, because I want Bryson to be a part of our week every single week again. He has just become so likable.
No,
but I definitely agree. He is like this next generation's Phil. I think he's gonna fall right into it.
Yeah. No, for sure. Especially like I said, I think Phil's almost kind of taking him under his wing on Live. If it seems more and more, especially now, Phil. It seems like Phil is now going to take that dive into the YouTube world, which I know a ton of the Live guys have already. So I think even more, we're going to see some more collaboration between those two. Anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent. We want to talk British Open. So let's preview it. Royal Troon, last held here in 2016. It sounded like I listened to the No Laying Up podcast today and their preview on the British show or on the Open Championship. It sounds like they added about 200 yards to the course. Last time, famously, Phil and Henrik Stenson dueled it out. They were, I think Phil was like 8 or 9 clear of third and ended up losing by 2 or 3. I can't remember. I know he shot 65 on Sunday and Stenson famously shot that 63. They had a 59 in the best ball, and the course average that day was playing like 76, which is even more sick of how great this week is. But Royal Troon, I'm curious, have you done a ton of research on the course? What's your thoughts overall on the course for this week?
So Jack did put out an awesome article this morning giving a full breakdown on it. But you are correct. They added about 195 yards has been extended with 9 new tee boxes since the last time that they played here in 2016. One of the biggest things is going to be the narrow fairways.
Yeah.
That last week was a very good preview.
Yeah.
If you don't hit the fairways, you are not gonna like what you find when you move up on your ball. And I'm sorry, but you're not gonna get a break like Bob McIntyre with a sprinkler in the grass. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to take your medicine when you miss your fairways, and you're gonna advance at 70 yards, and that's it.
Yeah, I love how they've added some length to the course. It sounded like they added some new angles. And before we forget, tell people, we got some more people following in. Tell the people where we can find Jack's article previewing that so we can make sure.
So Jack's article is on ontapsportsnet.com. He posted it this morning, and he's got a full breakdown of the field as well as the course. And Jack went really in depth on what are the key factors you need to look for if you're making bets or you're making a card for this week. What to look at for players. Some of the key factors that play into the new teeth of Royal Troon.
Awesome. And where can we follow you guys on Twitter?
So I'm at RossJohn22, and then you can find Jack at Jack Bushman2 under the main On Tap Sportsnet account. Also, all our stuff gets reposted there every day whenever we write or post something.
Sweet, awesome guys. Like I said, make sure you check out their articles and previews. And man, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see some new angles on this course. People think that it's going to be some, I've heard, I know we were talked about it in the spaces, but it sounded like scoring is going to be low. I think it's obviously always weather dependent. But I just think that just because Stenson got to 20 under, I don't think that gives an indication on how that course is not easy. Like Stenson was at 20 or whatever, 21, I don't remember, 19. I can't remember what he finished at. I'm sure you probably have a better idea than I. And Phil was, 2 or 3 back, but everyone else, no one else was within 9 shots of these guys. Everyone else played a really much more difficult course that week, other than these 2 guys who kind of just had really, really good weeks. I know Phil kind of did a piece on Live last week, and Phil had mentioned it was the only time in his career he's ever felt like he's played his best golf and didn't win. Where obviously, like I said, he lapped like third by 8 shots. So I think the scoring is going to be a little lower. I think it's going to be closer to the teens. Depending on the weather. It sounds like a little rain, a little wind. But I feel like that can always change, right? You never really know with the British Open. So I'm curious to see who's going to get the shitty end of the draw. Obviously, that's always a major talking point, the draw, and which field is going to, which half the field is going to get screwed. But I think the scoring is going to be a little lower than what everyone's thinking. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
I do think the scoring is going to be lower. One of the unique features about Troon that's going to play into that is, like you mentioned, it's going to be rainy, it's going to be windy, is what they're predicting.
Yeah.
There's 11 par 4s on this course. The 6 longest are all over 450, and all 6 of them are on the back 9 coming in, and they are all into the teeth of the wind.
So, what's the prevailing wind on this course? Not that we're going to get into the wind, but do you happen to know that off the top of your head? Because the
I
wind can
do.
change. The wind, the direction of the wind can completely change how all these holes play, which is always so great to see.
Yeah, so just in Jack's article, I know the way the course sets up is going out the first six.
Yeah,
They all play downwind. When they start to come back, it's crosswind, and when they hit all those long par fours
yeah.
coming back on the back nine, that is directly into the wind.
Sweet. Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited. I think the biggest talking point, and I want to play a drinking game. Every time they mention it to the postage stamp and how great of a hole it is, take a drink.
Yep.
You'll probably be trashed by like Thursday afternoon. But I think that is such a cool hole. People, hacks, like average weekend hacks, guys who are on Twitter talking about golf, not us, but the trolls on Twitter are going to talk about, it's a 120-yard par 3 or 115-yard par 3. How hard can it be? These guys are tour players. They're hitting a wedge. But I saw Tiger kind of talk about it today that the hole it's just a really, really good hole, and he's just happy to hit the green. And the green is literally the size of a postage stamp. You know what I mean? And depending on the wind direction, that hole can play extremely difficult, and you can see some wicked big numbers on that hole. Like you get out of there with a 3, even though it's a 120-yard hole, it's still a great score. And I think we're hopefully in tune. I want to see someone make like a 9 and just lose their mind in those bunkers playing ping pong back and forth.
Absolutely.
But I think that's going to be really interesting. Like I said, I even Tiger was saying, just hit the green there, and that's all you're trying to do. But I think that's going to be a major talking point. That hole, and I know hole 11 is another really difficult hole in the back 9 with OB all right. A completely blind tee shot, which is crazy to think about, that you're just kind of picking a target in the background. And the par 5s, I know one is well over 600, so I'd be curious to see how firm it is, to see if these guys are going to maybe give it a chance to get there in 2 to give themselves even a look at eagle. So there's definitely going to be some swing holes, but I think the postage stamp's definitely going to be the most talked about. Obviously, it's Troon's kind of calling card. Was there any other swing holes that you guys covered, anything like that? Any thoughts there?
So definitely the postage stamp we wanted to cover, and you hit it right on the head, that is going to be a very big take your medicine hole.
Yeah.
Like don't try to overdo it. It is the par 3, land it on there, just get up and down, get out.
Right.
That is it. And then you also mentioned the par 5 is like 650.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw today that they posted that Ludwig played that hole and drove it 447 with the wind at his back.
That's sick.
he had like, they said he had like 128 yards left on off of his opening drive in the practice round.
Holy shit. Well, I guess it's going to play I guess they're going to have looks at eagle unless you Bobby Mack it and smack it in the fescue and then get a sprinkler head relief. But that'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I think it's going to be a good course. I think, I hopefully I don't, the ball or the driver head, the rollback, all this bullshit distance-wise, and I don't know where you stand on that. Personally, I think it's the dumbest thing ever, but I hope that's not a talking point seeing some of these drives. It's just, these fairways just run out. They just run out. That just is what it is. These fairways are so firm, but the ball's only carrying. Some of these guys are going to be hitting head-high stingers, which I love. That's one of my favorite parts, is seeing these guys get these, 1-iron, 2-iron, just hitting these, head-high, just seeds down the middle, watching them run forever. I love that. But it's going to be a good week. No. It's going to be a good week. Like I said, take your medicine on the postage stamp.
Take medicine on the postage stamp, and then stingers everywhere.
Always.
Hit and cut stingers and fades.
Yeah.
Into the wind, depending if it's in your face, at your back. But just to get it down there, I think today Ludwig going 447 off
that's
the tee.
Insane. Yeah.
Can you imagine what that's going to be like Thursday through Sunday?
Yeah.
If you can have a couple guys, if they can stripe it, hit the speed slot, and get it down there.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I want that perfect matchup where you have one misses the fairway and it goes like 200. And then you have someone like Ludwig go 450 down the middle with the kick.
Right, for sure. No, I love it. Man. I'm excited. Any other thoughts on the course itself? before we kind of get into picks and talk about some dark horses, sleepers?
So this is going to be very textbook that we already know, but it is going to be the weather, man,
Yeah.
that determines this. Just like every single year,
Mm-hmm.
these whole like again, Ludwig going 447. It was dry with a wind at his back.
Yeah.
If it's rainy, it's in their face, it's gusting. We're not even going to get close to that.
Right.
Let alone that's where the fairways really come into effect. That you got to stay in. If you get into wet fescue, you're dead.
Yeah, no, for sure, I agree, and that's why I think it's going to be somebody, maybe who just drives it straight all week, keeps it in play, keeps it out of the fescue, keeps it out of the pot bunkers. Obviously, those are always a talking point. It's essentially a stroke penalty if you get in those pot bunkers, and even greenside. We always see, every year I feel like we see a new video of these guys like on a knee chopping out of the bunker with on their belly. Like it's always interesting to see. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's transition into some picks. I know we did it on the Takesman. If you guys are in the Takesman, we do a Takesman Twitter space 7 to 8 every Tuesday, right into our live show here every Tuesday. So make sure you guys join that. Ross and me, a bunch of other good Twitter personalities jump in. We did our picks, but let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear some names you like, some names you want to fade, maybe a couple dark horses. And then I'll talk through some people I like, and then we can. Before we get into it, I want to hear your thoughts on the Bobby McIntyre drop. I didn't hear you in the Twitter Spaces, so I'd love you to tell the people of the Scratch Golf Show what you thought about that Sunday, eventful Sunday where he got the sprinkler head drop.
So, I have thought about this for a while, and my initial take is he used the rule to his advantage.
Yep.
I'm not going to yell at Bobby Mack or anything because that's the rule.
Yep.
Did it play in at literally the most perfect freaking time it possibly could have? Absolutely. There is no way that ever occurs again.
Yeah.
But then again, that rule needs to be changed. That where okay, get off the sprinkler, but you need to go back into a similar lie. Something like that.
See, I feel like I agree. I don't think this specific rule needs to be changed because that's so subjective. And I talked about it with Tweeth, and me and him kind of got into it on Twitter this weekend. I was a little heated, but I get what you're saying. But it's like the fairway divot rule. It's just so subjective. Like, how is he supposed to recreate his lie once he gets a club length over to the left? He's still in the same, area. He's still in the fescue. It's not like he's moving it from the fescue into the fairway, right? Or moving it from a pot bunker into the rough or first cut, whatever, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't. Is he supposed to chuck it at the fescue and just hope, Johnson Wagner famously at the Players,
yes.
right? Throw it down into the bank, but I just think
that's what I could get behind.
And I get it, and I see where you're coming from. I don't know. And if you actually read the rule itself, and I heard somebody talk about it, and I forget who it was, but it's really not that super subjective. And I just think in this instance, and I talked about it, and this was my main thing is if this drop happens on Thursday or Friday, we don't hear a word about it. This shit happens all the time. It's only because there's cameras and there's live television. It's the 70th hole, national TV, major tournament, hometown kid. Unfortunately, it's just a great break. Like it's just one, it's hard to win golf tournaments, and two, it's just at the end of the day, like sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. You have a good week. Sometimes Adam Scott had a great week. Unfortunately, he just got unlucky. Like that's really what it came down to. I think the rules that need to be changed are the TIO rules. Like it's not like it's some bullshit where he got relief from a shot tower or a grandstand where that's never happening to me or you when we go there. You know what I mean? Like this is just an unfortunate situation where he took a practice swing, and I see the people who have the practice swing takes, and it's like he moved further over to the right because he didn't want to swing too close to his ball and move it and force himself to take a penalty. So he had to swing closer and further away from the ball. And if you actually look at it, it was about a foot away from his foot where he actually stood and took his stance. So it wasn't even like he got that great of a benefit. But at the end of the day, it's a great break. The kid still went 3 under the last 3 to win his home open. Great story, especially after last year when he got pipped, when he hit that great 3-wood and birdied 18, and then Rory birdied on top of him to beat him by 1. at the end of the day, I think it's just a talking point. I think golf Twitter itself and just golf in general, they like to make drama out of things. And like I said, I think if that drop happens on Thursday or Friday of any other tournament, that we just never hear about it. Right? It's just never even a talking point. It's just because it was on the 70th hole on Sunday why it was a big issue. So
yeah, no, I completely agree. And T's and P's to Adam Scott that is for not winning in almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
It looked like that was going to be such a big, great win.
Oh,
especially
absolutely.
with him getting into the Open to continue the stretch run of 24 consecutive years.
Yeah,
and then just I almost feel bad that if it happens to anyone else, it's like, oh, great for Bobby Mack. But the fact that it was Adam Scott, who's like one of the most likable people on tour, it's like that's the person that it got stolen from what makes it hurt just a little bit.
I agree. All right, man. Anyway, like I said, let's transition now into some picks, some names. Who do you like this week at the top of the board? Let's say like 30 to 1 or better. Who were the picks that you gave out on your show, and who do you like this week?
So this week I only have 2 people from the top of the board, 30 to 1 or better. I threw out the top. I just have my strict rule of once we go under 10, we're going to the field, man. You're not gonna get me. You're not gonna get me to dabble at that 7, that 6.
It's not worth it.
If that's what we're gonna bet, then we're just gonna move along and spread it throughout the field.
Yeah.
The first number I have on there is I have Colin Morikawa at 16.
Yeah, I love him this week, man. I really liked him last week at the Scottish. I loved him at the U.S. Open. I faded him at the Masters, and really ever since the Masters and kind of leading up to the Masters, he's been a name to watch. Hasn't gotten it done, but has been really, really playing well. Final group, the first 2 majors of the year. Top 15. I think he may have T16 at Pinehurst. But still, I think he finished at, +1. And a great name to watch. I think he was 13 or 14 under last week, another top 10. British, former Open champion. I love Colin. I wouldn't bet him, but I do think he's going to have a good week, and I think come Sunday he's going to be in contention. But I don't hate that, especially at 16 to 1. I feel like you're getting a decent number there, and I like to find bombs. I like to find value in the book, even if it's not a name that I actually like. If I'm getting an edge on the book, that's what I'm going to bet. I am breaking a rule this week. I love Rory, man. I think Rory just at 7. I think he's plus 750. I just think it's redemption story. I think he's going in just fuck you mode, pinning his ears back like he did on Sunday at Pinehurst. He's just going to make a zillion birdies, going to be beating driver all over that course. And I like you. I don't like giving out picks at anything close to 10 to 1. I like 50 to 1. I go for the bomb pops, But I just think, man, if I'm taking one guy at the top of the board, it's going to be Rory. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's hear your other name that you said that you like as well.
So just also to touch on Colin really briefly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Colin is giving me those vibes of he's been hanging around. He's made this comeback. And I am very much of the opinion that, Colin got his 2 right away out of in 2020.
Yeah.
And then we have had like these down 4 years.
Yeah.
I would say that Colin gave me like the Ludwig vibes, except Colin converted.
Yeah.
He came on, he came strong, he got 2 right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I think we're actually seeing Colin reach his ceiling now professionally 4 years later, where the game is coming around and he's playing what we kind of hoped and thought he might be. So that's why I have him as a strong favorite going this week. After that, I move further down the board at 28. I do have Tyrrell Hatton.
Yeah, man. Love that. Another good name. Dude's been on a freaking tear this year. He obviously played well on the PGA Tour. He's not a guy who's won a ton, but he's just a consistent golfer. And then I know you don't follow a ton of LIV, but he's been playing really good on LIV this year. I think he was top 5 last week. He won LIV Golf Nashville. He's been actually, honestly, he's been, not, I watch a little LIV, but I don't love the team stuff, but he's been Legion 13's best player this year. He's been better. He's been playing better than Jon Rahm, even though Jon Rahm is ahead of him in the standings. And I actually want to get your thoughts on Jon Rahm here in a minute so we can pause that. But I love Hatton this week, dude. I think he's 28 to 1. I think you're getting pretty good value on a player who I think is undervalued. I think in general, the LIV guys, the book gives you value on them specifically. I know you got like Cam Smith at like plus 4,000, which is absurd value for somebody who's actually been playing relatively well this year outside of a couple live events. But yeah, I love Tiro, man. He's in form. Like I said, he played really well at Valderrama, and it seems like it doesn't matter what course he's playing, just shows up and plays well. So he's a good name to watch, and like I said, I think you're getting a really good number on him at 28-1. What are your?
He just feels for how fiery of a person he is,
Yeah.
and the player. This feels like the being in the home environment that this would be the one where he could put it together.
Yeah.
Especially for how well he's been playing lately on the Live Tour.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw a couple names at you. Get your thoughts on these guys. What are your thoughts on John Rahm this week? 25-1 is insane value for a top 5 player in the world, but I cannot bet it. I'm curious your thoughts on Rambo.
I cannot do it. I just it is John Rahm. We know the track record. We know the skill that is there. I have not seen that skill in full form for quite some time.
No.
It's the same. And I know a lot of it is the name value. Just like you said, you know how good of a player he is. You see that number and you go, oh, that's awesome. I just don't trust the game right now. Yeah. And that's nothing against John Rahm. I still believe John Rahm is one of the best golfers in the world, no doubt. Yeah. I just think he's out of form. I think he's going to figure it out. It's going to come back. If it happens to be this week and he wins, great for him. Awesome for the game of golf in general. He won't be on my card.
No,
I can't trust it yet.
I agree. I actually, in that DFS thing I was telling you about, I had Rombo and I switched Rombo out for Hat, and they were the same price. I took Hat instead. Okay, yeah, I agree, man. I don't know. It's so hard. He obviously hasn't played well in the majors this year. I think he's more hurt than anything. I think maybe there's something a little more to this injury than he let on. He's obviously played well. I mean, he's second in the live standings, but for what that means, Bryson's ninth, and Bryson's having a way better year personally, obviously, since he won a major. But just a name to watch. I think if there's any week to do it, if there's any major for Rahm to do it, I think it's this one. I think he plays, the British Open really well. He's been always, I feel like he's been relatively consistent there in his career, but you kind of touched on it, and I want, before we move on to the next name, I just want to touch on it real quick. Like, it just shows you how good Tiger was. Like, Rahm went on that tear, right? He won all those tournaments last year, but he hasn't won since Augusta. It's hard to win, for one, and it just shows you how good Tiger was, where he sustained that greatness for so long. Like, we've seen all these guys, whether it's Rory, DJ, Jason Day, Spieth, JT, pick a name, Brooks, right? All these guys have gone on these insane runs, but they've never, Scotty even, they have never sustained it for more than 6 months, 8 months, and then they just regress back. And it's just, one, it shows you how good Tiger was, and it shows you how hard it is to be that good on top of your game at all times. Rahm, there's no doubt in my mind, he's still a top 10 player in the world, but he's just not in form right now, like you said. Another name.
And honestly, it's the same vibe I get with. Obviously, I love Jordan Spieth. It's the same thing where when Jordan shows up on the boards at like in the 20s, it's not my Jordan. It's not there, and he's another player that I've been on the record for a long time. I think Jordan is way more hurt. Yeah. I think that wrist is completely fucked beyond belief. I think he needs to shut down and do surgery, but I think that is one of the problems where he's not competing either.
Yeah. Okay, next name, Tommy Ladd. What are your thoughts on Tommy this week? I really like him. He's been playing great. If there's one to do it, it's this one.
So I have a very hard rule that I've instituted over the past year, and that is I love Tommy Ladd. I will cheer for Tommy Ladd constantly every single week. I'm done putting Tommy Ladd on my card for the constant heartbreak until he comes through, man. I can't. I am a Tommy Ladd cheerer. I will root for him every time. He could beat my entire card. My entire card could finish second through fifth behind him, and I will be happy for him when he gets it done. Yeah. I just can't do it. I've had him on my card so many times thinking that this is where he breaks through. And again, it feels like that vibe where this could be the perfect place he does it. Yeah. But he's just one of those hard rules where just like another golfer that I no longer even mention their name on camera,
Yeah.
but their first initial is C, last initial is Y. We until they break through, they have no business on my card anymore.
Scamron. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I love Tommy. I have him in my pool. I think he's been playing out, and maybe it was because Scotty was ridiculous, but that was his worst major round of the year, or one of them, right? When that one day at Valhalla that Ted Scott wasn't on the bag. So I like Tommy this week. I would look at him and maybe some matchup bets. I think you're getting a good number at 28-1. But all right, let's move above 30-1. There's a couple names on this side of 30. I guess let's just go from 30 to 80 or something like that. But Mr. Brooks Koepka, I think, talk about guys who have had a disappointing year in the majors outside of his win at Live Singapore, really hasn't done a ton. I really thought Brooks was kind of going on another run of win a couple majors this year. I've been saying it, the major year Bryson's having is what I expected out of Brooks this year, a major and consistent major play, but he just hasn't been there. But 40-1, he's somebody who I think will play well in a course like this. But what are your thoughts on BK?
BK right now is giving me the Rom vibes.
Yeah.
I did take a long look at him, but I ultimately did leave him off because I just don't trust the form right now. And it's not, and it's mainly because when you look at it, small sample size, but the previous majors just doesn't even look like a shell of himself this season.
This is the worst major streak of his career right now as far as top tens. I think he hasn't had a top 10 since he won at Oak Hill last year.
Yeah, which I was present for that, and it was awesome because it was literally in my backyard here.
Oh, hell yeah, in Rochester.
But literally, that's one of the things that I'm struggling with is Brooks is one of my all-time favorite players, and it kills me because to start the year he was on every card.
Yeah,
and I just kind of delved into this thing where I don't trust it right now. Just if he comes out and wins, awesome. I will be happy for him. I don't trust the form.
Yeah, I agree, man. I just think it's so hard to bet golf because you see these guys at just ridiculous odds, right? Rahm at 25-1, BK at 40-1. I don't know. I think he could have a week, but similar to Spieth, I think you're just betting a name. And I think it's just, I don't know, man. He's just been so underwhelming, but he could very well go out and win this week, right? Just like any other guy, even just like Rahm. But yeah, man, I don't know. I go back and forth. I had him on my first two majors. I had him heavy on the Masters. I had 4 or 5 units on him at the Masters. And luckily, I hit Scotty on a 10-unit play, so that ended up paying off. But still, he's been rather disappointing this year, man. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's what happens. I think he's been tinkering with his putter, right? Obviously, he got a new putter. He's been going, but I think he's got the oldie back in the bag this week. So we'll see. Let me see. I'm pulling up FanDuel right now. Sorry. There's one other name I want to talk about in that range. So BK right now 35-1. You got Shane Lowry at 45-1 and Bobby Mack at 45-1. Cam Smith 45-1. Patrick Cantley 45-1. Out of those 4 guys, who do you like?
And out of those 4 specifically, I like Cam.
Same. Yeah, same. I think you're getting insane value on Cam Smith right now.
There is another one I got on my card at 45-1 in there that I thought is actually a steal. Should be way lower based on history and performances at this event. Tom Kim I got at 45.
He's now 50-1 currently on FanDuel. I like him. I think he T2'd last year, right? I mean, he's
yeah.
And then even I think 2 years ago, the year Xander won the Scottish, before Tom Kim was Tom Kim, I think he T3'd in that event. So he's played well in links golf. He's kind of got that lower ball flight. I think he would fit well in links golf. I like him at 50-1. I think you're getting him at even a better number now. But I agree. Out of those 4, Cam Smith is definitely who I'm taking. I have no interest in Patrick Cantlay. No offense. I have no interest in Shane Lowry. And no offense, I have no interest in Bobby Mack. After last week, there's no chance in hell he's competing this week. If he wins or even top 10s this week, good for him. I know he should have no expectations this week. He might still be drunk. Let's be honest. But I agree with you, man. I think Tom Kim's a good name. Victor 33-1 was the other guy I wanted to get your thoughts on. Victor, I don't know what to do with him, man. I want to bet him. I don't want to bet him. What do you think about Victor?
Every time I bet Victor, I get hurt
Yeah.
because I bet him every. I'll leave him off because I want to see some form come back around,
Yeah.
and then that previous tournament, that form comes around, and I go, all right, he figured it out. Another week of work, like he's gonna come out even hotter this week, and like it's complete opposite end of the spectrum where he's shooting 4 over
Yeah.
in the first round or whatever, and you're just
Yeah.
like, what happened, dude? So Victor, I just don't trust right now, man. I think we tinkered too much.
Yeah.
We to start the year. Obviously, he fired his initial team from last year that got him all the success. Wanted to do the Bryson thing, try different things. Didn't work. Brought everyone back.
Planet.
Yeah, brought everyone back in from his original team. Been working with them again. We've seen some moments like at PGA with a bounce back, but he feels so hit or miss.
Yeah.
I just describe him as lost. He's just out there.
I agree. I think if there's a major championship that he's ever going to win, I actually do think he's going to win an Open at some point. I think growing up, and obviously he's a European guy. I think he's played in Norway, so he's played in kind of those wicked conditions growing up. So I think he would play well in mixed golf. But this week, I don't think I'm interested. I think we kind of saw a Phil comeback at Valhalla, where he was competing down the stretch. But I think maybe he just found something that was just recently when he got back with Joe Mayo. He was swinging pretty well, and that Valhalla. I don't know how much I count that in as a major. It was kind of a birdie fest that week, so I agree with you, man. All right, a couple more names in this kind of like 6,000-7,000 to 1, and then we're gonna move into the 100 plus. So, a couple names I want to get your thoughts on. I don't want to talk about Spieth. I'm fading the shit out of Spieth. That just is what it is. But Mr. Joaquin Niemann at 60 to 1. It's interesting. I got another guy who's broken my heart. Another guy who I think. He's never had a better finish than a T15 in a major. He's played a lot of majors. Never brings it to the major week, but is obviously having a great season on LIV. 2 wins, winning the LIV individual title. Curious what your thoughts are on Waco.
Waco, for me, is just another one of... I mean, you named the number one stat that always sticks with me is the T15 is the best major finish. I think I need a better sample size of seeing him in contention in the top 10 before I really put him even at a number like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even if you're getting me a better number like that, it's more, I don't think he's going to win. I'm hoping we get a top 10 out of him.
Yeah, and he's a guy who he's never, I don't want to say he's ever been a huge closer. I mean, he has his 2 wins on LIV this year. One, he beat Sergio in a playoff in LIV Mayakoba, and he won in LIV Jeddah. But like, even going back to his wins, like I don't know if you remember when he won the Genesis, he opened 62-62, and I think he shot like around even par. But on that Sunday, he had a 6-shot lead. I think he only ended up winning by 1 or 2. Morikawa and Hovland were chasing him down. He's a kind of guy who I think can get nervy. He's great ball striker. Man, I love watching his pro tracers. He can really change the flight of that ball, right to left, left to right, can really shape shots. But where I struggle with him is his putter. I think on Sunday, whether it's LIV, whether it's whatever, he's not a great enough putter yet to contend in a major. So I think even if he is in contention, like you said, at 60 to 1, there is value there. But until I actually see him even top 10, I don't think I can add him to a card just because he hasn't been there. And I even think, even if he is there, no offense, I think he's the kind of guy who would maybe melt down in his first major, similar to what we've seen out of, a lot of these younger guys, where it's going to take him a while to win. And it's not just like you can win right away. Even though he's been around for a while, he's still young. I think he's only 25, 26. But 60 to 1, it's just so intriguing. I feel like you're getting some great value in a lot of these guys this week, but it just feels like, I don't know. Okay, then we've got... Your CY friend, he's been well at the Open Championship. I'm out on him too, man. I can't. When he, I think you mentioned you were in town for the Rocket Mortgage. I watched that. It's my hometown event. Him breaking his driver just really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're breaking your driver on the back 9 when you're 1 shot off the lead. Like that driver, like that probably cost him that win. So I'm out. I'm full out. 7,000. Fuck it. That number. I don't. It's just I'm not betting him. Fuck him.
Yep.
Um.
I'm out. I do have one other player in that range that is
Yeah.
actually on my official card.
Yeah.
I do have Wyndham Clark.
I was gonna ask you. He was the next guy on my list. So why do you like Wyndham Clark? I am. I don't. I've seen his name. I don't think his ball flight fits links golf. But I'm curious why you like him at 70-1.
If you go back through his track record of places that he's been successful, besides throwing out Quail Hollow,
Yeah.
is the lone outlier. LACC, him winning earlier this year at Pebble Beach, these courses set up for his game. And I don't know if you saw on Sunday the unbelievable run he made.
Yeah.
That gave me a very good vibe that he started to kind of figure it out and playing that. And I mean, a top 10 is a top 10 on Links Golf. He's already got a win at Pebble Beach this year, which the weather conditions, everything set up similar to where they're going to be playing here at Troon. And his track record, he has a lot of top 10s at courses that have similar layouts like this, Link style golf. I think at the 60 number, was a good flyer to put on the card as an outright.
Yeah.
His game just fits.
Yeah.
If he can get into if he can go into his closer mode like he did on Sunday, and get locked in and do that for 4 days, I'm not going to be surprised to see Wyndham at the top.
No, I agree. I honestly forgot that he shot 63 on Sunday at the Scottish and played well, because it seemed like he was playing really well early on in the season. Kind of fell out of form, after the Masters when he missed the cut. I know he played well at Harbour Town, but it's good to see him playing well. I'm not a Wyndham guy. I really don't like him. It's his personality kind of rubs me the wrong way. It was the whole, him. Everyone knew he was having contracts, talks with Liv. Then he's like, no, I'm not. Even though everyone knew he was. If you follow, anyone at all. But anyway, no, I like him. I think you're getting a good number on him, and you sold me. I agree. I think you kind of made your case as to why you like him. Okay, last one I lied. Minwoo Lee, 80-1. I love Minwoo, man. He's won the Scottish. I don't know if I love him this week, but I do love him. But 80-1 is enticing. I'm curious your thoughts on Mr. Minwoo Lee.
The 80-1 you could get me to bite.
Yeah.
And the only reason you could get me to bite on 80 is what you just mentioned. The previously winning the Scottish, having a win on links courses. That's the whole argument for me.
He's been playing pretty well too. I mean, T2 at Detroit. He's not getting a ton of starts in signature events this year, which is a whole different talking point. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But he's been playing well in the limited starts he's gotten on the tour. Okay, so the last name I actually want to talk about is a name that hasn't seen a ton of movement. I bet this person at 11,000 or 110-1. Mr. Louis Oosthuizen been playing extremely well on Liv. We've all known how well he plays in majors. He's famously has the career Grand Slam of runner-ups at every major. He's only won one, which is insane. I love him this week. I love him on Links Golf. I love him as a first-round leader bet. I love him outright. I have him, I put $10 to win 1,000, which seems like insane value. But he's now 75-1, which I still think is a decent number. But what do you think of Louis this week?
He fits the classic mold of the type of player to be successful at Troon.
Yeah, for sure.
Just the track record, the history he has. He's the perfect mold of someone that you could plop on that course.
Yeah.
Much like at the beginning when we were talking about like a Mateo Montecero, he's got that mold in that track record where when you see a number like that, you throw some money down because what the hell?
For sure. All right, man. Any bomb pops? We'll go full betting card and then we'll wrap it up. Anyone over 100-1 other than Mateo, which I know we already talked about. Mateo 300-1 you like this week. Anyone else over that 100-1 number that you have on your card that you'd like this week?
I was actually really surprised because he's still been playing really consistent for the past several weeks. He hasn't gotten it done, but he's been mid-pack of the leaderboard. Benny On is 120.
Damn, yeah, he's 150 right now. He's plus 15,000 on FanDuel, at least where I'm at, which, yeah, he's been having a sneaky good year. Lost in the playoff to, unfortunately, Keegan Bradley, and then, Grayson Murray, RIP, ended up winning the Sony. But you think he's top 10 in the FedEx Cup, or at least he was up until recently. I kind of like him, man. And he played well at the Scottish Open last year. I think he shot 61. Went to that, another guy who went to the broomstick and kind of reinvigorated his career. I really like Baran this week. That's a really good call out at a decent number. I'm curious your thoughts on this because it just came across FanDuel. Aaron Rai currently plus 8,000. Akshay Bhatia plus 110 to 1, plus 11,000. Which I found super interesting. You're getting Aaron Rai at almost 30 units better than Akshay. But Akshay is a name that I like this week. I think 110, he's a guy who can win. I don't think he's scared of the moment. I think at Detroit, he summed it up. I think golf's just hard, man. Like, it's hard to win.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a name I think you take a flyer on at 110. You're getting insane value there, I think, in a guy who is a top 30 player in the world and who's grinded it out, right? He started, turned pro super early, and he's a proven winner. So I really like Akshay this week. Anyone else? Anyone else at all? Damn, you're getting Willie Z at plus 220 to 1. That's insane.
Another one, terrible showing at the Scottish. But we need to throw that one out because former DP World Tour player, they have Matthew Pavone at over 200.
Yeah, I just saw him. Where is he? Yes, he is. Damn it! I just scrolled past him. Yes, he is currently 300 to 1. T3 at Pinehurst, right? Third place, solo third. And he hung in there with Bryson. I mean, he shot 2 over, which was impressive. The course was playing well. He's having a great year. I think you're getting some insane numbers, man. I don't know if it's the fact that maybe the book is telling us that this week is either going to be a week where it's going to be one of those top of the board guys, because I just feel like you're getting a lot of these names where it's just like, I know you're betting names, right? But you're just getting a lot of these guys at way higher than you normally would at any other major. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know. I just feel like you're getting some really inflated number. Like even Adam Scott, 70 to 1 after last week. I don't know. It's a crazy betting card this week. Do you do any other betting? Do you do like any matchups other than the outright stuff, or do you like do any top tens?
I do actually have one top 10 going on my card. For I don't know how much people know about this player, but up until like 8 or 9 weeks ago, there were actually 2 players that were going to earn their card via PGA Tour U this year. Gordon Sargent elected to return to school for his final year.
Yeah.
He's 400 to 1 as an outright. You can get Gordon Sargent at 30 for a top 10.
Damn.
Gordon Sargent did give it a tickle for me for a top 10 because that when he comes out, I think he's going to be when he comes out next summer, I think he's going to be in the same realm as Thorbjornsen, Aberg. I think his game is at that elite level, and I think he's only going to get better returning to school for another year. But I did like the fact that you could get him at 30 to 1 for a top 10 because I do think his game is good enough.
Wyndham Clark plus 410 top 10, including ties on FanDuel. I really like that. If you like him to win, I would hammer him to get a top 10. All right, man. Let's do a full card recap for you, and then I'm going to sign off because it's been an extremely long day for me. But thank you for jumping on. So let's do a full card recap, and then we will call it a night.
No problem. So right now I officially have 6 on my card. I have Colin Morikawa at 16, Tyrrell Hatton 28, Tom Kim 45, Wyndham Clark 60, Matteo Montecero 300, and then Gordon Sargent top 10 at 30.
Love that. My final card is probably gonna be Rory, 750. I think right now I've got Louis at 110 currently, 75 to 1. And then I like this Wyndham Clark top 10. You've convinced me on Wyndham Clark. So Wyndham Clark plus 410, top 10 including ties. Add it to the card. All right, Ross, man, thank you so much for joining. Before we sign off, just tell everyone else who's watching right now where we can find you, when you go live, all about Golf on Tap before we sign off.
So you can find us live on Golf on Tap every Monday, usually around 8:30 Eastern time. We are available. Apple, Spotify, every day the following morning. But you can find us between X, Facebook, and YouTube, all on the ontapsportsnet.com YouTube page.
Sweet. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube. Follow me. Follow me on Instagram right here. YouTube, subscribe right here. X, subscribe or follow me on X right here. We go live every Tuesday on the Scratch Golf Show, 8:30. We're gonna do some more stuff with Ross, some more great guests. Watch my latest "What's in the Bag" video. It's doing really well right now, and we're on the road to 500 subs. Want to get there before the end of the year. All right, Ross, man. Happy Open Championship week. I'm sure I'm going to talk to you some more, and whether it's via Twitter or texting. Thank you for coming on the Scratch Golf Show. Really